they bring into us the negative aspects of what called men and women, which devolved us into humans, which in some instances mean monster. But it also means those composed of light, because hue mean light. And again, where did they find this at? They didn't find the oldest person, the oldest man in the world, and all of that in Africa. No, right here, right where the barbarous nations was, right where ancient Morocco is and was. Anything with A-L is Moorish. Anything with M-U, M-O, M-A, that's all Moorish. It ain't African. We're the ones that named Africa, Africa. Africa is a Carthaginian word from the Punica Latinum, which means a far land. So even in the word Africa, they're still saying that they are still a part or under the old Moorish Empire. Go back to calling it Al-Kibulan if that's the case. How come the African Union ain't do a referendum on that? How come they don't do a referendum on renaming all of their countries based on the ancient tribal names that those places had? How come they ain't doing that? How come 80% of the African people that are running these corrupt African governments? Again, I'm not talking about the people. I'm talking about the people running the corrupt governments in Bevel Europe. How come 80% of their political party members all bank in Europe? Can they answer that? Lady Flor, when she left Nigeria, said, okay, before we leave, we're going to call this Nigeria. And the Africans was like, okay. Before that, they was calling it Yoruba land. And now in Nigeria, you got a bunch of people calling themselves Muslims that want to turn it into an Islamic state pattern after the terrorist Arabs, Hamas and Boko Haram and what you call it? It's Hamas, Al Qaeda, ISIS, Boko Haram. All of that shit is CIA. All of them things is all of that crazy fundamentalist Islamic thing. That's why we're not from there. That's not our culture. Prophet ain't never told you to celebrate Ramadan. When the Prophet told you how to do that? You could do it if you want in solidarity with them, but that's not a prerequisite to be a Muslim, to be a Moor. Your prerequisite to be a Muslim or a Moor or a Moorish American is to do what? Practice what? Love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality. Who don't want to do that? So what? I gotta wait a certain. You know how many crazy Islamic fundamentalist people do all types of horrific shit all through the year, and as soon as Ramadan comes, then they show up at the masjid. Now many brothers and sisters that's born in South Carolina, born in these places that we showing, will go down to CVS and buy red dye, to dye their beards red, to look like some pale Arab that enslaved and castrated their ancestors or their cousins, and they're gonna look down on you because you wearing a fez, or you ain't going to the masjid, or you ain't praying 5 times a day. When they same Quran says they same Quran says, one learned man is worth more than 1,000 worshipers. The ink of the scholar is worth more than the blood of the martyr. They don't never tell you that verse though, right? I'm tired of people telling me that where I'm from ain't where I'm from, who I come from ain't good enough. Somebody else, some other pale Arab, some other prophet that I ain't never seen in life, or some person who died over 2,000 years ago gonna come back and bring me out of darkness. It's cap. You know what I'm saying? is straight cap. Remembrance of Allah is worth more than prayer. So what does that say? You got to pray to keep to keep it fresh in your mind, which means you're not remembering. Because to remember is to what? Bring together. That's why the split came between the Moors and us and them pale Arabs, because them pale Arabs want to be, that's why we went up back into Europe and Spain and did all that other type of shit and left them niggas down there and all that. And what did they do? They started the slave trade. To this day, they'll call you a kafir. To this day, they'll call you a kafir, bro. Just like the Africans, they'll call you a what? What's the name they go? Obaku? What's the negative word they be calling? They be calling us on the low. Come right in your country and do it. Akata, thank you, Moore. Yes, call you an Akata. Like these niggas know anything about their own history. Everything they know about their history, they got out of a white man book. I was watching a thing the other day, an interview with this brother from Africa, and they said, well, what is it like, you know, when you go home or whatever, and you bring back a melanated American woman? He said, well, actually, if anything, they would rather remarry white people. See that? See that? So again, they can't tell me nothing about anything on this side of the world. Nothing. Because again, get the book, The Algonquin Conquest of the Mediterranean Region, 11,500 by Samuel Poe. Talks about the Carthaginians from over here of the so-called Algonquin. Right? We went over and colonized them when we was Phoenicians, when we was Carthaginians, when we was Fomorians. These niggas ain't never come over here and colonize us. We ain't do that. They had to flip it. Get these books. And you'll see the difference when the shit started flipping up. See, there's a difference between American Indian so-called Freemasonry, right, and Native American Freemasonry. Two different things. Two completely different things, but both are an anathema to us after a certain point, especially after the prophet came, because when the prophet came, all the secrets was revealed. So we didn't need to be Shriners. We don't need to be none of that shit. We are naturally born on the square. Why would I study 35 to 50 years with some niggas in a room when I'm naturally born with the gift? When I'm older than Freemasonry, I'm older than the damn pyramids. We older than all of that. It showed you the half-life of uranium. And remember, we was literally digesting it. We was cooking with it. We put lead in the damn walls, in the paint, in the walls. So also beware of anybody that says shit like, oh, well, they use those words interchangeable. Don't believe that. Don't start falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Whenever they say, oh, well, they use Muslim and Muslim interchangeable, that Muslim was just the word that they used because that's how they said Muslim in English. No, you're lying. You're lying. You're lying. So that's like saying I could just use the word Moor and Negro interchangeable, right? They both mean the same thing, right? No, it don't. Islam, we're going to get into that right now as well. show and prove this, to knock this out. Big up to Canaan land. They dropped this the other day. Big up to the Grand Sheik, Canaan land, and all the Canaan land Moors. We dropped this the other day on you. This is from the Amexem Almanac. He posted an excerpt from it. Here we go. Again, the truth don't care who tell it. Whereas a lie needs certain people to go along with it. You understand? Look, this from 1906, the Moor wrote. In 1906, Quran and Muslim was seen as fads in Oriental spelling. Our old Muslim became Muslim. Quran with a K became Quran. From the Springfield Weekly Republican, Springfield, Massachusetts, August 2nd, 1906. All that Mr. Wollaston reports is so apocryphal as this, but he is a mere compiler with little discrimination as to what he pillages. He indulges in the latest fads of Oriental spelling. The Quran becomes Quran, right, with a Q. And he said that, and he that we knew as Mohammed, right, as Muhammad, and have come to speak of as Mohammed, here figures as Muhammad with a U, while our old Muslim become Muslim. But he does not tell us how to sound these new vowels, as he sticks in, though we must suppose he gives them the ordinary English sound for that part of Arabia, which we know as Yemen, he spells as Yamen. So see? So that torpedoes all of this other shit that these people is talking about. Then, when we look at this is an appeal from Calvin Coolidge. Look, an appeal in favor of that class. Americans called Africans, by Miss Child, author of the mother's book, the girl's own book, The Frugal Housewife. Let's blow it up. Look, we have offended, oh my countrymen, we have offended very grievously and been most tyrannous, right? You know what a tyrant is, from east to west. But we know it's actually from west to east now. A groan of accusation pierces heaven. The wretched plead against us, multitudes, countless and vehement, and the sons of God, our brethren. This is from 1833. So what they're going to say now? What they're going to say now? How is it interchangeable now? When we just read what this nigga said. Who was the Orientalists? This is how they do. They switch up the letters. They switch up the words. They switch up the meanings, right? Just like today. Oh, men can have babies. Women can do what men do. We all the same, right? But who are the Orientalists? Who were the Orientalists? This is the Orientalist speech. These are the niggas. These are the ones that these so-called blacks and these so-called Muslims and these so-called Pan-Africanists and all these other niggas that want to be everything else but Moors. You could be anything else. You could be anything else except a Moor. Why? Because of these niggas. These are the Orientalists, the Grand Orient, the freed and accepted made sons, the ex-Neanderthal, Denisovian, white Wendigos. These are the ones flipping up the languages, trying to interbreed with you, trying to get you to be something that they not. And to get you now to be a Muslim instead of a Muslim, to be a Mohammedan instead of a Muhammad, to be a Muhammadan instead of a Mohammed. Like you don't know I before E except after C. A-E-I-O-U. This shit light work now. You know what I'm saying? Like it's light work. This type of shit light work. Like these dudes now. That's why you don't need to bother debating these people. You don't need to bother none of that. Let these Negroes, let these slaves think what they want to think about it. They're not brave enough to be Moors. They're not brave enough or strong enough to stand up and know who they are. They don't have enough faith in the land that they was born of their forefathers. They'd rather go over there and be welcomed into a foreigner's home except their own. This is their brother. When you become a Freemason, these become your brothers. How can this recessive be your brother? How you gonna choose him over your own brother? Like I said, the Prophet Noble Joe Ali ain't never killed nobody. Niggas might have got dealt with going against the Prophet, but he ain't never shed blood to be a prophet. How many people Muhammad killed? Peace be upon him. How many people will Muhammad kill? Look that up. How many wars did Muhammad fight? How many people did he kill? To establish what they call the religion of Islam. Look it up. Then look up how many people Noble Joe Ali killed. If you got to kill somebody to be a part of what you are part of, or if you got to sell a piece of yourself to be a part of something, that's not something you should be a part of. You understand? When the Moors was ruling Islam, you couldn't tell the difference between a Hindu, a Muslim, a Christian, and none of that. Because everybody was welcome. Everybody was learning. Everybody was doing a thing. Everybody was abundant. Nobody was taken for granted. That's right. Because once you see the real ones know, once you let them know that you are Moor and you standing on the pillars of what Islamism and Moorish science really is, there is no debate. They don't have no problem with you. The only people who have problems with you is the zealots, the fanatics, the people with blind faith that go by what they taught. These the people that got rid of Malcolm. That's why the niggas that killed Malcolm was able to go right to that masjid right there in New Jersey, and they prayed with them niggas and all of that for years. For years. Knowing that this is the one that did it. Oh, well, he was following, he was doing what he was supposed to do. When they don't even acknowledge Elijah Muhammad. Show me one article, show me one joint where Elijah Muhammad said y'all go and kill Malcolm. The significance of the fez. The nobles wear rich costumes of Eastern character. See how they flip it? But see, Eastern character. They talking about the Southeast. They talking about us over here. They ain't talking about them over there. Made of silk and brocaded velvet, of oriental intensity of color. The ordinary costume for the street parade is conventional black with the regulation fez. When the pilgrimages to Mecca, now Mecca for us is Chicago, Islam, because this Mecca over here is the original. Why? Because we've been over here for over 385,000 years. Somebody look up the date for when the Kaaba was founded. Yeah, the truth. That's what it do. Interrupted by the Crusades about 980 AD. The Mohammedans west of the Nile, see, journeyed to Fez or Faz. That's over here, Morocco. As to the holy city, I just showed you where it was at. Hold on. Hold up. Just had it. Text. When the pilgrimages to Mecca were interrupted by the Crusades about 90 AD, the Mohammedans west of the Nile, right? That's west of the Mississippi. That's over here. Here go Fez, right here. Right? That's all New York, Philly, DC, all of that. The whole DMV, right? The holy city. Among the flourishing manufacturers of the city was a head covering called the tarbouche, now known as the fez, which was dyed scarlet for the students in the great school of that city. In that way, it became the mark of what? Learning. Not murder, not theft, not killing, but learning, and gradually displaced other forms and colors of hats. It was carried in all directions by caravans and thus became the distinguishing headdress of the Muslims in every part of the empire. So wherever you seen somebody wearing a fez, they were connected to our empire over here. Somebody look up when the Kaaba was founded. It ain't over 385,000 years ago, I'll tell you that. So that can't be the original Mecca. That can't be the original Mecca for us. But we existed before that. How am I subordinating myself to something that I existed beforehand? That's like me trying to be my father's father. That could never happen. Look, this the money. This the money we was having over here. Based on the trapezoid pyramids that we had over here. And what does perennis mean in Latin? Anyone? Moors, when we start speaking our old Latin tongue, Punica Latin tongue and Punica Hebrew tongue again, it's over. It's over. You understand? It's over. Perennius means father. And this is what the original White House looked like, according to Ben Bay's original sketches. That's why they was flat on the top, because the airships and shit that we used to have used to land on top of these things. You can't land on top of them pyramids over there, because those pyramids were meant to shoot up and out. These over here were meant to bring down, receive. Look, Wolof found in Senegal and Gambia as an Arab tribe descended from who? The Himyarite Arabs from where? Yemen, which means they're Moors, which is why the Saudi Arabians is bombing Yemen right now. Their ancestors, who? Abu Bakari ibn Umar, the cousin of Yusuf ibn Tashifna, right? And in the country of the Sanhanja, Himyarite Arabs, but we'll call them Arabs, E-R-B-S, the Moors. In fact, the name of the country that they were widespread in Senegal was named after Seneca, like the Seneca. Get the book Seneca Possessed, a branch of the original tribe of the Sanhaja. This Yusuf ibn Tashfin is the famous leader of who? The Almoravid dynasty that rules Senegal, Mauritania, Morocco, and Andalusia, southern Spain in the 11th century. This Almoravid dynasty started in the area of Senegal today, and from there, Senegal, they set out to conquer much of northern Africa and Spain. These are Moors, not Arabs. Right? Exactly. One of my good friends from Cameroon is an L, and he from the Wafo tribe out there, the Wafo clan out there. And out there, they call the Wafos the Moes. And they say that if you're not a Mo of the Wafos, you're not even considered a human. Islam. So again, our history again. So when they talk about the Almoravid in Senegal, Mauritania, we know where Mauritania at, right? They're not talking about Mauritania that over there today, Mauritania, because that place didn't become Mauritania in the western portion of Africa until when? 1971 or some shit like that. So again, these are new peoples. These are new peoples, mixed peoples, who have adopted the ancient names and dominions of the old Moorish Empire, acting like they created it. That is really for them. That they was there at the beginning. I got you. Exactly. Mauritania over here, west of the Nile. The Nile for us over here is the Mississippi. So Al-Andalus, Spain, that's the Florida Republic. That's the new viceroyalty of Spain. There's a good brother named Shikumaga. He got a good page, man. He be going in. He be going in on the global Moorish military and dominions and all of that. Anybody on my app, I've been able to get some PDFs up in there now. And I got a joint in there called a book you should get called The 10 Years of Secret Diplomacy. If you can't find a book, you can read it on the app. So again, all of the technologies, all of the stuff we was doing was already here. We already had it. Anybody find the time frame for the creation of the Kaaba? Anybody get a date on that? Somebody get that and post that up for me, so I can read it to everybody. This from a game. One of the nobles sent me a clip from one of the games that they be playing. This is why they hate gamers, and they attacking gamers now. This from a game. Look. Remember, the only way out of slavery that these people had was to come under our protection, under our dominion. And in that, they became a part of the greater empire. And we gave them little sections that they could run. These people was called the Janissaries or the Mamelukes, the eunuchs. The original Kaaba was built 2000 BC, rebuilt 600 BC. Again, I think, you see, they be lying to us, B. This is what I'm saying. So how are we older? We older than the religion itself that they practice in itself, because we gave that to them as a form of breaking away from the old Roman Empire, which itself was peopled by Moors. Take the R in Rome, put it where the M is, put the M where the R is, and what you got?
Moor.
What you got? Exactly. That's a coincidence, though, right? We ain't supposed to pay attention to shit like that, right? Like the pimps used to say when they would get caught with their other shorty, they'd be like, "Oh, you gonna believe me or your lying ass eyes?"
Oh man.
Look, boys, this from a game. This from a video game about the American Revolution. The Confederacy, again, throughout the entire world, because we had dominion over the entire earth. And nobody was getting no burn without giving us our tribute. We had multiple dominions running at the same time. Multiple empires running at the same time. We had a Christian empire running. We had a Muslim empire running. We had a Moroccan empire running. We had an Asian empire running, all synonymously. Look. These people were called the Zouave. Z-O-U-A-V-E. Look. This is where the Sumter Turks came from. This is why Mount Arabia is in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? And again, we can show these niggas all of this. We can show them all of this, and they will still, nah, we from Africa. Cool. But again, you still under the Masonic trick, because Africa is a code word for Earth. Look, these niggas fighting for us to stay in the Confederate, to stay in the Union. Because without us, the other dirty Moors is going to put them back in slavery. Look at them pheasants. That's right. This is what it means to be a freed son, to be a made son, a Muslim son. Look the colors, red, white, and blue. Sirius A, Sirius B, Sirius C. Look, it's on the money. You know what I'm saying? The crescent star on the money. Fort Moultrie. E pluribus unum. Out of one comes many. Look, Shiloh, Blackland, Chickamauga. Yes, the Janissaries, the Mamelukes, they was under it. And they kept their foot on them Arabs and everybody else's neck for the Moors. For the Moors. And it don't just stop there. It keeps going. The other day, right, there's a dude on YouTube named Mary Mori, right? Or Mar Mary, right? And he's a part of an old sect of Christians out of the East. And he be going in on Yeshua and how these niggas be playing games and all this other type of shit, right? With the real history and all of that. and be going in on the Muslims. So he giving a live the other day, and this Muslim dude jumps up and tries to stab him. Right? He tried to stab him. So while it's happening, all he got in his hand is a little cross, and he holds the cross up right in the midst of the stabbing. Do you know he only caught a little nick across his chest, and the crazy Muslim that tried to stab him cut off 3 of his own fingers? This nigga cut off his own fingers trying to kill this man. But let me show you why. Let me show you why it worked and who was on his side when he do it. This is how they dress. This is how his order of Christians dress. And you tell me what's really going on, B. Who's really running this shit on the spiritual level, beyond what these Negroes want you to believe. This in the middle, this is him. This is how these niggas is rolling. Look how he rolling. And he got the Black Madonna on his chain. This right here is one of the Moors from the Dutch Empire. On your left. Yes, power. That's right. It's power in this. Exactly, More. Exactly. Look, these niggas ain't playing. They not playing. They not playing.